Tonight, an investigation's underway after multiple Kootenai County jail inmates overdose on fentanyl. What we know. Plus, months after he sparked a protest against ICE, a former Spokane City Council member changes his plea in federal court.
We're under KREM 2 weather impact alert for strong wind overnight, but wind and rain don't go anywhere anytime soon.
Good evening and thank you for being here with us tonight for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Cody Proctor. Mark is off tonight. Well, just this afternoon, Spokane's former city council president pleaded guilty to the federal charge stemming from the ICE protest he organized in Spokane last summer. KREM 2's chief journalist Amanda Rowley sat in the federal courtroom for this change of plea hearing. She's now joining us live tonight in the newsroom to explain why he's still walking free for now.
Yeah, this afternoon, Ben Stuckart pleaded guilty in federal court to one count of conspiracy to impede or injure an officer. But there's a twist. Stuckart was not taken into custody after the hearing. The judge accepted his plea to the felony charge this afternoon, and it's part of a plea deal, one where both sides also agreed to a deferred sentencing deal. Following the hearing today, Stuckart shared a statement outside the federal courthouse. Take a listen.
When ICE took Cesar and Joshua and put them in chains, I decided to try and stop them from taking my friends. At the time, it was my hope that the government would do the right thing and release them from custody. I understood what I was up against, but I felt it was necessary to take a stand. I accept full responsibility for my conduct.
Now, since the judge granted the deferred sentencing deal, that means Stuckart is expected to come back to court June of 2027, withdraw his felony plea, and instead plead to a misdemeanor. He'll remain out of custody until then. Now, in total, 9 people face federal charges relating to the ICE protest. Stuckart is one of 4 who plan to change their pleas. Tomorrow, the last 2 defendants are expected to appear in court to change their pleas. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Amanda, thank you so much. In the meantime, we're in weather impact alert mode right now, but not for the weather conditions you would think would be for the month of December. So let's turn things over now to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo right now for a first look at the forecast. He's in our outdoor weather center tonight.
Cody, it's an interesting one. We are in that weather impact alert for gusts ranging from 45 to 55 miles per hour. And believe it or not, we have already clocked a 40-mile-per-hour wind gust out at the airport. Sustained winds around 24 miles per hour right now. And here on the back patio, wind is howling. Wind advisories remain in effect through 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. National Weather Service picking up on this and saying, hey, it is a big enough deal that it is of concern. And we got to agree. Wind will gust strong from about 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Strongest gusts around 11 p.m. So I think that is going to be when we start to wind down. But really, not until about 1 a.m. are we through the worst of it. Wind moving through along a frontal boundary. Rain starting to wind down, but you can see all of these bands just getting stretched out as that wind whips across the region. Tonight, we'll watch rain wind down and move up into the mountains. Tomorrow, as it winds down, the wind, that is, rain will return in scattered showers. Rain takes back over tomorrow night and takes us into a rather soggy Wednesday. But as Cody mentioned, not something you expect to see in December. We were up near 50 today. Tomorrow, close to it again with all that wind in the morning, rain late in the day. And with rain in the forecast on Wednesday, we're likely back in the 50s in December.
Jeremy, thank you so much. We'll check back with you later. In the meantime, we are also tracking an investigation with the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office after multiple fentanyl overdoses took place in the Kootenai County Jail. That incident happened on Saturday. KREM 2's Regan Gallo spent today investigating into this situation, and she is joining us now live with more on what she knows. Regan.
Yeah, well, the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office tells me that 6 inmates experienced overdose symptoms. And at the time of this incident, the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office asked local law enforcement and partner agencies to only arrest crucial offenders because here staffing was so low. 6 out of the 9 sheriff deputies at the jail had to transport those inmates to the hospital, leaving only 3 deputies on site, and they say this created a critical staffing issue.
Trying to figure out how and it was introduced, as well as who supplied it once it was inside the jail.
The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office say they arrested current inmate 37-year-old Raymond D. Spezzi for possession of a controlled substance inside a correctional facility. Lieutenant Mark Ellis says none of the inmates who took fentanyl died and Narcan was administered. The investigation is still ongoing. The main question remains how the drugs got inside the facility. Lieutenant Ellis added the situation highlighted two issues. First, contraband items being brought and passed through the jail.
One of the biggest threats we have right now is that drugs are being laced into the U.S. mail that's coming to our inmates. And so for this year's budget, we have put in for a mail scanner that would actually be able to detect any illegal drugs on the mail.
And second, low jail staffing.
Our staffing right now is very low. We only have about 9 deputies inside the entire jail for 500 inmates.
He says for about 500 inmates in the Kootenai County Jail, it is standard to have 13 deputies per shift. Right now, only 9 deputies are staffed per shift. Ellis noted the overdose incident paired with low staffing created a difficult situation.
That took about 6 of our deputies, of our 9 deputies, being transported to the hospital. So when you have a critical incident like this, it's pretty shattering. It really depletes all our resources real quick. Our patrol deputies came in, they came in to help with the investigations and then to make sure the jail was still safe.
Lieutenant Ellis also noted more deputies are being hired, but it can take time for both onboarding and training.
Lieutenant Ellis also says he cannot confirm that fentanyl in this specific situation came in through the mailing system. However, he notes that contraband items coming through the mailing system is one of the jail's biggest vulnerabilities, which is why they are trying to address the issue with new mailing scanners. I'm reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Regan, thank you so much. And just an hour ago, the Moses Lake Education Association met to vote on whether or not to ratify a deal reached with the school district there. If ratified, the deal would then go to the Moses Lake School Board for their approval next week on December 18th. Students returned to the classroom today after news of the agreement broke over the weekend. Students had been out of school for 2 weeks, one for Thanksgiving break and another week because of the teacher strike. They'll have to make up the school days they missed at the end of the school year. The U.S. House of Representatives is set to vote this week on extending a program supporting rural schools and communities. The 25-year-old Secure Rural Schools program provides funding to rural counties and schools impacted by reduced timber harvests on federal lands. It also supports services like road maintenance, emergency services, and fire suppression. For instance, about 80% of Idaho counties benefit because of the state's large amount of national forest land. The Senate's already approved a 1-year extension. If the House of Representatives doesn't approve it, that funding will lapse. Washington Congressman Michael Baumgartner says while he supports the program, Congress needs to look at reforming the regulations that keep small communities dependent on it.
For our rural areas, one of the challenges is the federal government does a lot of things that don't allow them to create jobs and grow their economy. And so if the federal government would allow our rural areas to harvest their timber and mine their minerals, they wouldn't be as dependent on measures like the Secure Rural Schools.
Now, since 2000, the program's provided $7 billion in payments to more than 700 counties across 40 states. Well, coming up, after only a single season with Washington State University, Jimmy Rogers heads to Iowa. What he had to say in just 3 minutes.